I don't know, maybe I'm valuing the Warcry a little bit too much.
You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
And we are back for our top 8. Congratulations to everybody that made it. I'm going to run through the top 8 real quick light. Then we're going to talk a little bit about our Patreon, and then we're going to get to what everybody actually wants to see. Quarterfinals match, which will be level 13 David versus Tatsumaki. Little hint there. 2 people in the top 8. joining me in the booth is LocoPojo, and I, of course, am Mark, aka Chibikawaii. Pojo, you want to run through the top 8, and then I'll talk about some Patreon.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. The current top 8 is on Big Combre, Pupacitis on Rakano, Billy on Stone Scar Aggro / Burn, David on Combre Aggro, Tatsumaki on Film Control, Flash on Big Combre, Crisalio on Stone Scar Burn, and Bradykin running a Chalice deck. Doing pretty well. We've seen quite a few of these players.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, and it's a relatively diverse top 8, and I think it'd be pretty good. But again, before we jump into that, I'm gonna rattle a little bit about the Patreon. And if you guys don't know, it's basically how we end up funding all of our tournaments. So if you want to take a quick look at that, it'd be great. We have a couple goals that we've already met thanks to the generosity and support of everybody that has been viewing us and has been supporting us through that. So at $150, we expanded our article content. At $200, we started doing the Sunday tournaments, which you're going to see tomorrow. And then at $250, we do have that guaranteed prize pool for all the major tournaments. So that's the team series, playoffs, that's invitationals, and that's also our championships. So I'll read, if you're enjoying watching the show and you want to show your support, we have a few ways that you can do that, right? We are a Twitch affiliate, so you can subscribe and cheer. Twitch subs get the aReNGee emote. You never can go wrong. Just blast that everywhere and anywhere. And we do have some new perks in the works for subs, so stay tuned for that. We also have a Patreon, and the Patreon is currently our primary source of funding, as I already mentioned, and therefore it is the way we fund the tournament prize pools. I might be repeating myself a little bit. Speaking of prize pools, invitationals have historically had around $250 prize pool, and for the year-end championship, we are planning is a huge prize pool of $3,000, and first place will get $1,000 of that $3,000. Nice little chunk of change there. And then as the Patreon grows, so will all of the prize pools. If you want to see that happen, make sure you go over to www.patreon.com/aReNGee Eternal, and it'll be good things. So now, as I messed up our intro, definitely we'll flash the top 8 graphic back up there, and we can get a little bit more into the top 8. Especially with our match. So, Pojo, who do you like here between Tatsumaki and David?
Of the two, I'm kind of down on Tatsumaki's deck. I think that overall, it's going to be probably a little bit more easy to push through with the Felon control against the Combre sort of aggro style, if David can land those stand-togethers. Actually, I hadn't noticed there were 4 stand-togethers in level 13 David's list. That actually changes my estimation of the matchup quite a bit. David probably has a very strong start here. Awakened Students are a really rough card for Felon control to deal with. The Knight Chancellor Seros are doing quite a bit, and with the 4 stand-togethers, that's a really sizable loadout. This is a really solid deck. It's been a while since this deck has seen play, but it is a control killer, and it can be very solid in these particular matches.
Yeah. So
how about you?
I think I'm with level 13. I'm with Mr. David. Just all very, very high impact threats. Every one of them Tatsumaki is going to have to deal with. And with the Finest Error, I guess Finest Error is not going to really play around the Suffocates because there are no Suffocates in Tatsumaki's deck. But yeah, as you mentioned, the stand-togethers, having 4 of those in the main deck, having the Copper Hall Elites, I think there's going to be some good stuff. But as we segue into the actual game, our players looks like they've settled on their hands, and they're moving.
Yeah, we have Shadow out from Tatsumaki, setting setting up for, but he's going to have to cast Wisdom of the Elders first to try and find some shadow. So from there, you'll be able to basically set up a nice early board. David does not have a 2-drop or a 3-drop. No Awakened Students here, so he is going to be a little bit on the back foot against the control deck. He didn't get any of his early aggression in the form of Tranquil Scholar, Awakened Student, and Initiative Sands. But as long as he can actually keep those stand-togethers going when they specifically need to be going, he might be in much better shape for this matchup.
Yeah, this Valkyrie Enforcer is going to be interesting. I'm wondering just how much damage that's actually going to be doing if... well, never mind. I was saying if Tatsumaki stumbled on power, however, being able to play this Black Scar Harbinger on 6, pop that Aegis, and then also have a very, very good blocker for the Enforcer. Not nearly as worried about Tatsumaki's position now.
Yeah, the Copperhull Elite is a very good card Felon for the Aegis, but because it doesn't really get past Felon Bloodcaster, and there aren't like that many ways to push through, David has a Finest Hour in his hand. He should be fine and continue to pressure for quite some time.
Well, Finest Hour or Stand Together both put Copperhull Elite into that actually needing to deal with range.
Yeah, the winning card for Tatsumaki here is Champion of Cunning. If he can find the fifth primal influence for that, David's only answers are Vanquish and Finest Hour, either of which are necessarily guaranteed to be effective against the champion. So like Tatsumaki can stabilize pretty early in the game, and since David's aggro has not been particularly fast, he might have a decent chance here. But there's a lot of damage coming in right now, and Tatsumaki's gonna have to decide if he wants to block it.
And yeah, we do know that David's got those 2 Finest Hours in hand. So going to be able to push through, still getting a chunk of damage. Tatsumaki's already at 17. These Black Sky Harbingers are going to be pretty good here.
Yeah, they not only stabilize and get rid of the Aegis, but they're also like that extra life gain is really relevant. Any type of defense against aggro often involves a little bit of life gain, and it's something that control decks really often skimp out on, but Felon Bloodcaster has it built right into the game.
Yeah, and we see the 2 Vanquishes just rotting away in David's hand. Those are not going to do too terribly much. They will allow him to answer this Champion of Cunning, even if Tatsumaki is able to wait until he has 5 primal sources.
Yeah, David thinking about Desert Marshalling here, but I believe choosing to attack instead. Looking like a pretty good option here. He's got the Finest Hour. He can just kill the Black Sky Harbinger if it blocks. And that'll be pretty good for him.
Yeah, if I'm Tatsu, like I'm very leery about blocking, but I did just see a Finest Hour, so I'm thinking maybe it's another bluff. Unfortunately, not a bluff here. But fortunately, Tatsumaki does have another Black Sky Harbinger.
Yep, he gets to play another one. He gets to stabilize a little better.
Or
the less Finest Hours there are, the more his answers are going to matter.
And I was going to say, also could run out both Lightning Storms. It's a 2-for-2 trade. It's not the worst thing in the world.
It's true. He can actually wait for that to get even better, too, but there's certainly the risk of a stand together changing that equation up. So
yes,
the earlier that he clears the opponent's board, the less potent the stand together is going to be later.
Yeah, so we're all right, just getting in for 3 here. That's Reality Warden. Okay.
Yeah, that card's doing a lot of work here. Tatsumaki's champion could actually get himself up above 7. That would be a particularly big deal. But as it stands, he's basically got an Aegis Flyer that he can play down, and he's just going to get run over by that Reality Ward. It's too big, and Tatsumaki does not have an appropriate answer for it.
Yeah, like I'm wondering, is it going to be possible to race? So, yeah, like do you have to play? I'm trying to figure out, do you double Lightning Storm this turn, or do you play Champion of Cunning this turn?
I think that you double Lightning Storm this turn, chunk block with your Black Sky Harbinger. Since if you want to trade with the Reality Warden, you have to have Champion down with a Shadow.
Yeah.
And it's possible that you can draw a better answer to Reality Warden here. So he might chump with the Black Sky, he might just take the damage, but he definitely doesn't want to be the beatdown here.
That seat is a big draw, though, because now we're going to be at least be seeing the pumps here. Do you? Ooh, it's really risky, but do you think that Tatsumaki just takes the 7 here?
I think that David might take the double Vanquish here, but if it doesn't happen, then the trade is probably good for Tatsumaki. Yeah. He'll be able to Vara later to get the champion back. He'll have stabilized the board in the way that he really wants to. He can just double block the 7-5 and the 5-5 together and feel pretty good about his chances.
This stand together, though, actually, so I wonder if you vanquish the Black Sky Harbinger, attack with the Reality Warden, hope they go to blocks, and then stand together.
It's a tough call. That certainly isn't going to be the play that David goes for. He decides to just take the champion out. I like this play. Obviously, Tatsumaki has to block or take so much damage that it's going to be really, really hard to recover. And now he's currently looking at a chump, which is just not the thing that he's looking for here.
I appreciate Tatsumaki playing out the sigil there, since David knew that the sigil was in hand from last turn when the seat was played, and not playing and keeping the seat back. Yes, this seat is going to come in depleted, but Tatsumaki's got so much power right now, it doesn't really matter. Tatsumaki could basically do everything that they would want to do. Case in point, play a Felon Bloodcaster and activate it.
Yeah, this is a pretty good setup for him. It gets him the Sandstorm Titan as a chump blocker. He gets to draw through a few more of his cards. He has a bit of a stabilization point here where he can potentially teeter back into place and possibly win a game. But like, there's still the stand together, and if the stand together hits right now, that's +2, which is just, it's really, really close to damage.
And the fact that the Awakened student is getting an Aegis this way is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, the Annihilate doesn't hit anything. So that's going to be game for Tatsu. Sandstorm Titan's acute defense, but it's not enough to stop the 5 damage coming across his face. So he'll be able to block Reality Warden, and that'll be game.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see the Annihilate come down on the Sandstorm Titan. Just as like there we go. Yeah, all right.
All right. BM achieved.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our second pre-boarded game before we get to the sideboards.
Yeah, so should be. Yeah, this is best of 5, so players will be playing 5 rounds, or perhaps just 3.
Yeah, I fully expect that game to go very similarly to how it went before.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough with the overall, like, just no pre-boarding. Like, David's deck is really well positioned. I'm not sure that Tatsu is really going to be able to do much once he gets into sideboard either, though. Most of his sideboard cards are like he can bring in Rain of Frogs, try and hit that stand together, but that's about it. Like, there's not great answers here. David, on the other hand, also gets Cambrai Healer, Dawnwalker. He gets Xenon Initiation. He gets some decent answers to some of the bigger threats. And I think that his sideboard's just a lot better positioned. So this might be a 3-0 for David.
I would not be surprised. However, we are talking about Rain of Frogs coming in against an aggro deck, right? Is that?
Together sometime. No, I'm saying he doesn't have like any sort of.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I'm just referencing our earlier conversation.
No, it's the worst best option. Permafrost is pretty okay.
Yeah, it was like Permafrost, Feeding Time. I don't know. Yeah, just the stand together is just gonna be rough, and I have to imagine the protects are gonna be coming in, but I don't know what you're trimming for the protects. Maybe there's Cambrai Healers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cambrai aggro is something that I would generally classify as closer to being tempo, but like it's pretty straightforward, like 2 drops and 3 drops and 4 drops. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of early aggression, and I don't think Feeding Time really slows early aggression in the way that you want it to.
No,
that might be something that comes in later if the Dawnwalkers come in, but like as it stands right now, David's really well positioned to win this game.
Oh yes, and especially. I don't know if you caught that, but that Sandstorm Titan has charge now. And Tatsumaki has 2 power.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue. So like we have a Sandstorm Titan with charge, we have Initiative Sands and Awakened Student both playing out here. David doesn't actually have to play the Sandstorm Titan to win. He can just play Stand Together on top of Stand Together and crush it. Yeah,
this is all right, well, there's a 3rd power. Unfortunately, not going to be able to play this Felon Bloodcasters due to the influence not necessarily being correct. There's a Finest Hour. That's going to pull that Awakened student out of range of the Lightning Storm. I guess this does get a Finest Hour out so that this Permafrost is a little bit better.
Yeah, at this point, David can Valkyrie enforce his own Desert or Awakened Student, although he can certainly wait until the Awakened Student gets bigger if he wants to. I think right here, just pressuring is all that he needs to do. So attacking for 4 certainly does a little bit of work, and then he can start standing together and really just knocking his opponent down.
Yeah,
Now, at this point, both players have strongly indicated they don't have a 4th power. For David, that just means rushing in and standing together. Like there's nothing else to do here.
yeah.
And he actually throws the stand together early. Good on him, getting that extra damage. Like a lot of people will hold that back until they see a removal card, but right here it's so important for him to tempo.
Well, I think the main reason why he did it right is because it shaved a turn off the clock. This gives him an entire turn that he can do it, and it's going to pay off perfectly well because we're going to see it come in and go to -1. Tatsumaki getting off to on a little bit of a rough foot, a little bit of wrong foot, rough foot, both feet.
Yeah,
they've both been chopped off.
Head over heels. So,
so now we actually are. We're going to be moving to game 3, which is going to be our first sideboarded game. And as we've kind of touched on this already, there's not a David just gets better, and Tatsumaki, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot to be bringing in.
Yeah, he's not rolling Suffocates. He's not rolling any sort of early removal. I think he has some ways to dismantle specific cards in David's style.
Yeah.
That is not tempo efficient for him. He really wants to get rid of some of those cards just because he's got like a lot of good defenders that actually are helping him if they don't get removed. So if he can hit like the Finest Hour or the Stand Together, then he can kind of get back into that situation where he's just trading evenly with his own units and then can win out on card advantage. But that's a lot to ask, especially since you have to spend a turn 4 doing nothing on Rain of Frogs. So I don't know. I think he sides that in, but I don't know if anything comes of it.
Yeah, and so it looks like David is just bringing in the 2 protects and getting rid of some of these vanquishes.
That makes sense. You don't want to screw with a battle test curve if you don't have to.
Yeah.
And Vanquish obviously doesn't really hit anything. So with the Tranquil Scholars here, he can give some random battle skills out and have a little bit of fun and see exactly what ends up happening in this game. But I think he's still favored to win this.
Oh, he's looking... Okay, he is just going down to 2 vanquishes. Oh, nope, going back up to 3 vanquishes. I was curious to see if the Infinite Hour class was actually going to come in. I would expect that that's more for decks that play Crystallize. However, splash damage against Permafrost, maybe. But there's not a lot that he actually even wants to take out. The deck is just very well positioned for this matchup pre-board.
Yeah, I think that like overall there's a lot of good card quality in here, and the 4 Stand Together's main board.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a big deal against the film deck. Like it is a very, very rough setup. We haven't seen a deck like this in a very long time, but I've always liked it, and I'm glad to see it coming back against the setup.
Yeah, so okay. Yep. Now we're in game 3. We've got 2 Initiate of the Sands on David's side. Tatsumaki at least has power, going to be able to play this Wisdom of the Elders, which is definitely getting him in a better spot than he was last game.
David missing green influence, which is pretty rare for the deck. Kind of an issue for him, to be certain. He could play another Initiate here and try and like push a little bit more damage that way, but he's opening himself up to Lightning Storm in a way that doesn't look particularly appealing. As long as he picks up a green, he'll be fine. But this is kind of the worst possible hand, and Tatsumaki can take advantage of it.
All right. we just see these Initiate of the Sands, getting their beats on. I'm fine with this.
It's important. A Champion of Cunning coming down that is almost fully enforced. David drawing green cards. Oof, that's rough for David. This is like the chances of drawing in your mulligan hand, like this is maybe like a 0.5%. It's really unlikely. He's gotten very badly hurt from aReNGee here.
Poor David. Poor David.
Yeah, he's still gonna win the next round, I think. But Tatsumaki steals one back, and if he can steal two more, that'll be a good way to secure it.
I'm thinking reverse sweep. I'm not gonna lie.
This is why we play 3 out of 5s.
Yeah.
Like specifically for this reason, so that aReNGee does not knock people out of a tournament where they have the right deck and the right setup. So we will see exactly what ends up happening here. It's possible that the reverse sweep could happen, but I think Tatsu's still very poorly favored here.
I would agree. Yeah. So we'll see. I can't imagine. Oh, looks like. All right, so it looks like David's actually going back to the sideboard here. Trimmed a. Oh, all right, interesting. Trimmed a Combray healer and went back up to 3 vanquishes.
Yeah, that makes sense. He does want better answers to the Champion of Cunning. He saw it this game and he realized how, so he's going to go ahead and throw the Vanquish back in. It's a bit reactionary, but it is probably correct.
All right, so we see Tatsu and David both have power, so that's a good thing. Oh, nope, I spoke too soon. David's going to need a third power. He's going to be able to play out these 2 Awakened students that he has in hand, which is potentially a big game, but he really, really needs that other power.
Yep, stuck on 2 at the moment, so looking for a third. His hand's very well positioned just to kind of capitalize on the 2 drops. These Awakened students are hard to kill, so he's going to get some damage in there anyways, but after he plays his second Awakened student, his attacks are basically just swing with 2 2/2s, protect the 2/2s whenever possible, using Finest Hour and Protect.
Ooh, interesting from Tatsu. I'm not gonna lie. I would actually probably run out the Lightning Storm there versus the Permafrost, just because Permafrost is going to be a little bit more versatile, right? It's going to be able to hit those Reality Wardens, or pop an Aegis potentially, or also get on a Seraph versus just running out the Lightning Storm and getting that 1-for-1 there with the Awakened student.
Yeah, David's luck is definitely not on his side. He's looking for that third power. We see a Black Sky. It's getting a little bit late in the game, so he definitely needs to find something soon, and it looks like he's just run down.
Yeah, this is an interesting turn of events. I don't think it's... Yeah, all right, now I think the game is kind of over. But still good things. Still good things. I'm sure we will have a very interesting Game 5.
Yeah, Diplomatic Seal here doesn't help him get the Valkyrie Enforcer out. He can play Knight Chancellor Seraph, and that will not quite secure what he needs, but it'll at least allow him to play some Finest Hour Protect plays and defend against the champion next turn, provided the champion doesn't attack in. Now that the Varus favor is active, he really green. If he doesn't Valkyrie Enforce champion, that's game, and double champions is probably game anyways.
Yeah, because that Black Sky Harbinger is going to be smacking for 7 starting next turn.
Yeah, so David might be being punished for his curve a bit here. He does have 14 3-drops as well as a ton of 4-drops and 5-drops, and he's only running a full 25 power. There's no Seek power in here. There's no Find the Way. There's nothing that actually picks up power and helps him out. Initiate of the Sands is normally designed to fix that, but it's possible that he doesn't have the Initiates in right now. And in those situations, if Initiate dies to Vara's favor, which is very vulnerable to.
Yeah, Initiate is definitely in, as we see David play one on turn 1. Going to let him play an Awakened student into power. So now we've got a 3/3 Awakened student on turn 2. Initiate getting in. Tatsu having some... Tatsu has the power and a Vara's favor to be able to answer that Initiate, but the damage might already be done here.
Yeah, we have a 3/3 Awakened student just right away. And Knight Chancellor Seraph going to play as well. So I think that David's in a much better situation. He can play the Knight Chancellor Seraph. He can find a Tower to protect from particular cards like Suffocate if he needs to. Or he can just sort of set up and get ready for that stand together. Without the Initiate, he does only have 3 powers. So his options here are to stand together a 5/5 or attack with a 4/4 and get Seraph out. Either one seems fine to him.
I was about to say, I like playing the Seraph, right? Because you're worried about Death Strike, but Death Strike's not going to come about until next turn. and then you can just hold up stand together for the rest of the game.
Yep. So we see the attack in. He has stand together available. He's going to want to cast it probably this turn just to get those Aegises up. And then, like, once that happens, he's got 2 Aegis units that are ready to charge in. Tatsu's probably not going to have a good defense until the next couple of turns, although if he has Steward of the Past in hand, that might help a little bit.
Yeah, and depending on how Tatsumaki blocks here, it'll be there's the real potential that stand together actually will end up trading with the Bloodcaster as well. So then you're just left with a whole bunch of no blocks were being assigned.
Yeah, no blocks. So the stand together happens. That's 9 damage to face. Tatsu's at 12. He does have some stabilization options. Basically, just drawing into Steward is the key one, but he's not looking amazing at this point.
Yep, and we can permafrost. I have to imagine that's going to go on Awakened Student.
Yep. It's always interesting permafrosting Awakened Students. Awakened Students keep getting bigger, and then when you silence them, they often end up being very, very large. So it's kind of an issue there.
Yeah, with four Valkyrie Enforcers and 4 Marshals, it's only a matter of time until David finds something that will silence that permafrost away.
Yep. We see a second Bloodcaster down. These are actually the good ones. So if he can hit it, then it'll be a pretty good deal. He can just Finest Hour out of this, but that still leaves 4 damage blocked, and the Finest Hour only pushes through 2. So his opponent now at 10, playing Initiate so that he can get that Reality Warden, and just hoping for the best.
Yeah, Black Sky Harbinger, though, going to mess David's day up just a little bit. Going to get rid of all those Aegises. Also going to get rid of that Initiate hands. So the Reality Warden is going to be stuck in hand. Another Seraph coming down, though.
Yeah, there's no good attacks for David here. The 2 5 health units really block up the board, and now Tatsu's getting close to being stabilized. He can start gaining life again if he chooses to. Reality Warden certainly is the key card for David, but it's not guaranteed to be pushing across for enough.
Well, and especially with that Death Strike sitting in Tatsumaki's hand, it's gonna be a rough game no matter what.
Yep, Tatsu has the Death Strike. If he gets that on the Reality Warden at the right time, that's going to be really, really critical. He doesn't really have that many other good things, but if he drew the Vara, so that'll do it.
Yeah, so as soon as that Reality Warden gets popped, what I'm assuming will be the end of David's turn. I actually kind of would not have minded Tatsumaki firing off that Death Strike on his turn, since David had no cards in hand. Allows you to play around, protect, and stand together that way, because that Reality Warden really needs to get off the board, because once you actually get that Vara train going, I don't know how you could possibly lose. Yeah,
the one thing is that David might actually be pretty keen on attacking this turn. He didn't end up falling for it, so the Death Strike does happen, and now Felon Bloodcaster pulling power off the top. Tatsumaki's actually stabilizing. From here, it's going to get rough for David.
Yeah, and Tatsumaki activating that Felon Bloodcaster, getting the Desert Marshal, one of the key things that David needed to start attacking with a nice big beefy unit.
Yep, it's not a particularly big deal. It's just an extra block too, but conceivably David would have wanted to draw that card. So We'll see what his next card is. If it's a power, then that's a kind of just more bad RNG for him. We got a 3 there. Oh. Yeah, I blame the dice on this one. So we've got a 4, a 4, a 3, and a Vanquish. There's not looking like a lot that David can do this turn. If he wants to attack in, he'll get 3 damage in, but that's assuming that the Desert Marshal doesn't jump down and create a double block situation, which it probably will.
Yeah, I think any chance that David had to come back is pretty much gone at this point.
He could still stand together a particularly good board for himself, but it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Tatsumaki is certainly looking to be in a good position here. Those stand togethers didn't really come out for David in the right order, and at the moment, Tatsumaki's just looking at a really good board. So he keeps attacking in, he keeps getting his health back.
I think it's going to be inconsequential, but it's interesting that he Desert Marshaled the 3/4 Seraph and not the 4/5 Seraph.
Yeah, Vara thankfully does not have a champion cunning to hit this turn. So David can now vanquish it safely and get himself into a situation where he's back sort of on top. But this is sort of the strength of the deck, actually. Like, we can see now that with the Sandstorm Titan, Tatsumaki just has to have answers, or he isn't going to be able to aggress on. And, like, from here, David can potentially take it back.
That's very true. I mean, once this Awakened student becomes Unchained, it's like realistically you just need to get rid of that Black Sky Harbinger at that point, and then you can start swinging in willy-nilly.
Yep, he could Combre Healer his Sandstorm Titan here to make a kind of reasonable attack, but pretty much no matter what he does, it's only going to trade with one unit. And he kind of wants the Black Sky Harbinger out of the file, so yeah, he might want to focus on stabilizing this turn.
Yeah.
Tatsu has picked up a Tranquil Scholar and, had he needed it, which he does not, the power to play it. So like he's stolen a couple of things off of David's deck that are probably going to help him out in the long run, but I don't think Tranquil Scholar is doing a heck of a lot for him.
No, not at all. I'm trying to think if maybe if he gets Aegis and you can put it on something like Avara.
Yeah, like if David draws Champion of Cunning here, that's like his key card to win. I don't think it matters if it has an extra skill from Tranquil Scholar.
Sure.
He just needs it. And if he gets it, then that's a really, really big deal. But in the meantime, David's got a couple of draws to find the card that allows him to push through. Stand Together is the main one. If he can pick that up, that's really good. Finest Hour is pretty reasonable. Any sort of silence effect to actually get the Desert Marshal going in or get the Awakened Student going in is really strong. But yeah, he needs to get something aggressive going, and until that happens, the Drago is just going to be slowly favoring Tatsumaki to draw the right answer.
Yeah. And so I'm eating my own words here, but David at this point doesn't have a bad draw because now he gets to start activating Seraph.
That's true. Seraph is the other card that's actually going to help him out here. He picks up a Shimmer Pack. That's going to be an 8/8 Shimmer Pack. So if he buffs everything, he's got to remember not to target his opponent's units because they will be 8/8s, I believe.
Yes, they will be. But he's going to be able to turn this Combre Healer into an 8/8. He'll be able to turn that 3/4 Seraph into an 8/8. He'll be even yeah. I think you want to leave the Sandstorm Titan and the Seraph, but like there's an argument for turning Copperhall Elite into an 8/8.
Yep. Like I would you probably want to hit Copperhall Elite as well.
Yeah.
But just attacking with 16-24 power worth of units here, that's a pretty big deal. And I think that overall, like, David's got a good chance to win this game now.
Yeah, this is quite a swing, but that also goes to show you well, I guess, like, to be fair, David needed, aReNGee to be on his side for
once. Yeah, no, he had a few bad rolls as far as life has been concerned in terms of card draws and other things. I think that his deck has just always sort of been favored just because, like, the Seraphs do provide a really good late game.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, this is it coming through as Tatsumaki's deck continues to sort of follow the plan of inaction. But, like, what does he hit? What's most important? Do you get rid of the Black Sky Harbinger here? Like, does he want to create useful trades or just buff his own board? And it's a tough question.
I think you just buff your own board and then just get in.
Yeah, that seems right. Like, you could also pick up a bunch of shadow units.
24, swing for potentially 29 this turn. If you do want to actually get in with the Sandstorm Titan, which at this point, having a whole bunch of 8/8s, I think I'm fine with.
Yeah, that could be pretty reasonable. Would leave the Black Sky Harbinger, but I'm not sure he cares about that at all.
Yeah, so I guess maybe you make the Sandstorm Titan an 8/8 even as well.
Yep, he could hit 4 of his own units and be real happy with the results. He could also hit 4 of his own units and the Black Sky Harbinger and, like, just be content with 1 8/8 on his opponent's side as he attacks in. Like, there's some decent options here.
Yeah, but I don't think you care about that 3 points of, like, health, and even if it gets in the air, like, I guess it ends up backfiring if he finds the Champion and Cunning off the top. That backfires pretty hard. So maybe it's not worth it. Just get in for your casual 24, clean up a good chunk of Tatsumaki's board, and then, or I guess it just necessitates a single chump. Or you could throw 4 units in front of one of them.
Yeah, I'm curious what David's thinking about at this point. He has 1 to 2 decision points that are like particularly solid here. Like none of them seem like they're particularly bad, but if he has a particular optimization that he's looking for, I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm seeing the arrow move around again, at least. So I was a little worried maybe a disconnect. Doesn't appear to be the case. Just tank him.
No, he's sitting tight. So
Surge tanking him. You like System of a Down? No? All right, fair enough.
sorry, man. Yeah, this is just
fill in the air. All right. Here we
it all looks pretty good for David. We'll see what David's up to.
We did see an arrow go over the oh wow. All right.
He's just picking the 4, going for the full 32 damage, and from there that's going to be a real hard setup for B.
It is. Yeah, because I guess actually Champion of Cunning doesn't do anything, right? Because he's got to throw away at least 2 units here. And then Black Sky will then put him, so if you threw away the minimum amount of units, yeah, actually, so I guess it just straight up doesn't matter.
Yeah, Tatsu can create some blocks that prevent the 88s from dealing damage, but I think David's won this. That was the correct choice, just to make a bunch of meat. And now that he's made a bunch of meat, Tatsu's going to have to find an answer that he may not actually have.
Ooh, so we are going to see him fall to 7 here. Interesting. That just leaves him dead on board. I don't know what he was. Maybe hoping for Witch with Vara's favors.
That's possible. Yeah, if you got Witch Vara's, then
clean
that
up
might
enough
be okay.
units to chump block, and then hope for a lightning storm or something the next turn. But that didn't happen. So
I think Tatsu's just dead here. David might take the turn off to play Seraph just to be safe in case there's enough removal to prevent lethal. But it looks like Tatsu's 1 or 2 turns away from throwing both Varas at face just to get a little bit of extra health and withstand 1 blow from these 8/8s. David decides to attack in. That is the correct play for lethal. And we'll see if Tatsu has the answer.
Doesn't look like it, especially, with the 5 power in hand.
Yep, all the aggression, and Tatsu goes down. Ooh, a hard-fought one for David in a situation he may not have had to fight that hard, but he got it, so there you go.
Wham, bam, thank you, man. Yeah, so David taking it in a very interesting best-of-5 series going all the way to Game 5, and, yeah, we're wrapping that up. So I know that the bottom bracket has already started, so we'll find out what the next match is going to be. Okay. So I'm hearing that we're going to be cutting to a quick little break. We're going to get the next round set up, or the next match set up for you. We'll come back. It'll be the semifinals. We'll have a great time. And, we'll see everybody then.
Yeah, it was an epic struggle of man versus dice. I'm pretty excited to see what the next one holds.